Coming up on this Welcome to Autumn edition of Inside Bellingham, emergency preparedness. What does it mean for the city? And what does it mean for you? And have you ever heard of a walking school bus? Well, we'll show you one. And healthy trees and our drinking water. What's the connection? And you'll get a chance to learn the inner workings of the police department at the Bellingham Police Citizens Academy.
Oh, yes. What hope you have information more on this Halloween edition of Bellingham.
Hi, and welcome to Inside Bellingham. I'm Doug Waldo, and this is Connolly Creek Trail in the Happy Valley neighborhood. This is a great trail for families with small kids. It gently wanders under a high canopy of large native trees through the nature area that surrounds bubbly Connolly Creek. Right near the trailhead is Joe's Garden, a Happy Valley icon since 1927, when Joe and Ann Bottero started their garden that has been supplying locals with fresh, locally grown veggies ever since. And for residents who want to grow their own, Happy Valley has one of the city's 3 prominent community gardens. Happy Valley is a diverse neighborhood of permanent residents and less permanent students. Smaller homes and lots are found to the south, and large apartment complexes hug the Western Washington University campus on the north. Seahome Village is the principal shopping center in the neighborhood, providing everything from coffee to climbing gear. This is Larrabee Elementary School in the Happy Valley neighborhood. This school is 87 years old and a neighborhood icon. The 200 students who attend here at Larrabee Elementary and the adults who guide and support their learning are one great big happy family. Oh, and incidentally, those west-facing classrooms have some of the best views in town. Now, even though Larrabee is a small school, it can be pretty hectic around here when those 200 students are arriving and leaving. The city's Safe Routes to School program is a new project that teams up parents, school officials, the health department, and kids to keep our young students going to school safe, healthy, and ready to learn.
Our goals for the program were to increase the number of children safely walking and biking to school. And I think we've been successful with that. We've seen more kids walking and biking to school, but more importantly, they're doing it in a safe way. Sort of a broader goal of the city is to make our streets safer for all users. We want them to be safe for people driving cars, for people walking, for people biking, people taking the bus. And the Safe Routes to School program accomplishes those goals. The health of our kids is a big issue. They don't spend as much time being physically active. Back when I was a kid, the majority of kids walked to school. And today, we're just not seeing that. The numbers have plummeted. We're also seeing an obesity epidemic. So we want our kids to be out there moving. And if they can be out walking and biking to school, the teachers and the tell us the kids get to school and they're more alert and receptive. They're ready to learn.
What I love so much about Safe Routes to School is that it pulls different organizations that don't normally talk to each other about, making it safe or physical activity. It pulls the police into it, the engineer, the planners, and the health department into it, and we're all focusing on safety, but also the health of our kids. And it's just one of those great community kind of grassroots projects that it feels really good to be a part of it, and the community support for it is just great.
For many parents, one of their concerns about having their kids walk to school is they don't want them walking alone. And so if they can walk with other children, and with an adult, then they'll feel comfortable. We set up what's known as a walking school bus, and that's where a parent or staff member walks. They don't drive, they walk the bus, and they pick up kids along a specified route and deliver them to school.
We also implemented a program that's called Passport to Health, and the purpose of it was to help kids keep track of their trips to school. So whether they walked, biked, bused, or carpooled, their goal was to do 5 trips each month, and they'd fill in each little bee, and their goal was at the end of the month they would have 5 trips.
Have a helmet, look always across the street, stop at the crosswalk to make sure the car stops. I look across the street, look both ways twice, and we always walk with our friends. So.
Well, for me, I think it's important to be involved in the program because I can be a role model for the students as well. There are days when I will ride my bike into school. We have several staff members that will walk into school that live nearby or that they ride their bikes into school. And the walking school bus, I try and be, they call it school bus driver, and I try and be part of that. It's a time that I can connect with kids and talk and find out about their day and their week and be a role model for them.
I definitely think more kids are walking, more Larrabee kids are walking, and I think there's more kids that are walking in the neighborhoods. Our program has reached all the way down to incorporate Happy Valley kids, to incorporate middle school kids coming from Fairhaven Middle, and I think everyone's walking more because of the safety measures that the city put in. Kids nowadays aren't getting enough exercise, and what's great about Safe Routes to School is it's encouraging that lifestyle of being physically active, we're not talking about doing sports or things like that. We're talking about making it a habit. And when kids have habits when they're younger, early on, that sticks with them throughout their lifespan. And so if they can adopt the habit of walking and bicycling places, hopefully what that will do is they'll carry that onto their lifestyle.
The city's Safe Routes to School program began in the Happy Valley neighborhood last year and is starting up in the Birchwood neighborhood this year. To find out more, visit www.cop.org or phone 676-6961. Trees are a signature of the Pacific Northwest, and in Bellingham, we work hard to preserve and protect them. Healthy, well-placed trees can help the environment, increase the value of our property, and just make us feel good, mentally and even physically. But during the winter, trees can be pretty scary. Windstorms blowing through our area last winter played havoc in our neighborhoods. Kim Spence talked to some experts about the importance of trees in the Lake Whatcom watershed and how we can keep our valuable urban trees safe and healthy.
Not only are the forests surrounding Lake Whatcom beautiful, but they play a very important role in the health of the lake. Think of trees as umbrellas. Their canopies and the soil beneath them capture rainwater, minimizing runoff to the lake and reduce the amount of pollutants entering it. In contrast, when rain hits homes and pavement, it picks up everything it touches: oil, lawn chemicals, pet waste, heavy metals, and bare soil, and all of that enters the lake. So not only do trees cool the stream temperatures for fish and provide habitat for wildlife, they also capture and filter water. But for many homeowners, the essential role of trees is often overshadowed by the threat of property damage, especially during extreme weather conditions like we've had this year. The prospect of trees falling on cars or homes makes people wary of keeping trees. But the giant growing in your yard has a very vital role to play in the health of the lake and the land surrounding it.
Did you know that the Pacific Northwest is world famous for its large trees? Our western red cedars, Douglas fir, and western hemlocks are among the world's largest, and our locally abundant bigleaf maple has the largest leaves of any maple in the world. Now, when folks think about trees, they often think about a carrot with a big taproot going straight down into the soil. Actually, tree roots are very shallow. Most tree roots are in the top foot of soil. They spread far and wide in search of water, nutrients, and oxygen. With all these big windstorms we've been having, folks are understandably concerned about the safety of the trees in their yard. Now, an arborist calls an unsafe tree a hazard tree. By definition, a hazard tree includes a tree, a defective tree, and a target, such as your house. Things to look for with a hazard tree include things like cracking in the trunk, increasing lean and soil bulging around the roots, a history of topping or poor structure of the tree, decay or dead wood. If you have any of these things in your tree, you ought to get it checked out right away for safety purposes. Topping trees to make them smaller is just not an okay solution. When you top a tree, the tree reacts by sending lots of vertical, very fast-growing, weakly attached wood straight up. Those weakly attached branches are very likely to fall off in future storms. In addition, when you top a tree, you open the tree up to insect and disease attack. If you've got room to plant a tree at your property, make sure you've got room for a big tree. If you're planting a Douglas fir, remember it's going to get 200 feet tall. So if you don't have room for big trees, plant native shrubs. We have a wonderful diversity of native shrubs here, some of which are world famous in horticultural terms. The red flowering currant, the tall Oregon grape, these are beautiful shrubs that give year-round interest, bring songbirds into the garden. Try to stick to native plants. Native plants are perfectly adapted to our climate and our soils. Thousands of years of evolution can't be wrong. Fall and winter are the best time to be planting trees and shrubs. It gives the plants a chance to get the root system established before the summer drought hits. Trees have many benefits for the lake. They reduce stormwater runoff, they help water absorb into the soil, they shade and cool streams, and they reduce erosion. All of this means less stormwater runoff into the lake, less pollutants, and cleaner drinking water for all of us. Trees have other values as well. In terms of economics, studies have shown that healthy, well-placed trees in your yard can easily increase the property value of your home by 10% or more.
Here are some tips you can follow to do your part to protect the lake. Plant a tree, but make sure it's the right tree for the right place. Plant native species. Never top a tree. Use a certified arborist for tree evaluations. Protect the critical root zone during construction and landscaping, and enjoy the many benefits trees provide us. This area was meant to have trees, so no matter where you live, they keep it beautiful and healthy, and by protecting them, we're protecting ourselves.
For information about Lake Whatcom and ways we can all pitch in to protect our magnificent drinking water supply, visit www.cob.org. After Katrina in New Orleans and a number of natural disasters around the world, catastrophic emergency preparedness seems to be on everybody's mind. Well, the city's Office of Emergency Management is headed up by Assistant Fire Chief Andy Day. We caught up with him at Firehouse Number 1 and asked him about the city's emergency planning strategy.
Our approach is based in the understanding and the acknowledgement that as a city government that we're not going to be able to meet all the needs of our community during disaster. Those people and those communities that prepare for disasters are going to fare the best in the event of a disaster. In fact, immediately after a disaster, and we're oftentimes think in terms of earthquakes, our resources are going to be stretched to the max. So our approach is to partner carefully and closely with a variety of different community groups so that we can bring the entire resources of the community to bear in a disaster situation. So some of the folks that some of the groups that we work with include our neighborhoods. We're very closely working with them on disaster preparedness, Red Cross, school district, health department, Whatcom County government in general, the Western Washington University. These are some of the key players in disaster preparedness here in our community.
In addition to keeping 5 to 7 days of supplies on hand, people are often interested in how they can help our community prepare for a catastrophic emergency. Don Davis, who is also with the city's Office of Emergency Management, is now working with neighborhood groups on a program called Map Your Neighborhood.
Map Your Neighborhood is a very simple, informal program that will help people in the event of a disaster that's so large that fire and police can't come to their aid immediately. The idea behind Map Your Neighborhood is really basically pretty simple. People protect themselves, they check out their own home, then they'll gather at a pre-designated site and divide up in teams to check their entire neighborhood. And one team would go and check on gas meters. If they suspect a gas leak, they would close the gas valve. Another team would go and search for help signs that we would have posted in the doorways. And if that's the case, they'd go give any help that is required. And the final team checks on the weather radio and monitors KGMI 790 for news updates. And after those teams check on the neighbors, they'll return to the gathering site and reassess what needs to be done, and then they'll address those needs. If a person wants to get involved with Map Your Neighborhood, we would be more than happy to help. So they should call us at 676-6933 or email us at oem@cob.org, and we'll be happy to help you out.
You know, we can't assume that every catastrophic emergency will be caused by some kind of a natural disaster, such as a flood or an earthquake. We also must consider the possibility of an epidemic, or larger, heaven forbid, a pandemic. We asked Dr. Greg Stern with the County Health Department to tell us how to prepare for health emergencies.
One of the things that would be very helpful would be to expand the idea of infection control from just medical settings like hospitals and medical offices to the whole community. But individuals may not be aware that they are also capable and responsible for stopping the spread of the disease by doing things like washing their hands frequently, covering their coughs, staying away from other people when they're ill. Those are really basic measures everybody should take to stop the spread of infections. We're working to teach kids in schools and in we were doing that at the county fair with hand washing booths. That's been expanded in the community to teach kids proper hand washing, and hopefully they'll teach the adults around them how to do it properly. We have some public information campaigns on covering coughs. Those are very basic. Oh, the other thing is preparation. So people need to do kind of what's done in restaurants to try to stop the spread of disease.
For information about preparing you and your family for health emergencies, visit the County Health website at www.co.wa.us/health. Planning for the new downtown library and library services citywide has been going on for quite some time now. Library board members have proposed to build a new library right here at the current downtown site. Additionally, they plan to make much-needed renovations to the Fairhaven Branch Library. New services are already in place on the north side and are planned soon for Berkeley Village. In the coming months, community leaders expect to make more key decisions about how library services are delivered in the future, and they want to hear from you. What works well for you at the current library, and what doesn't work so well, and what services do you want from the library in the future? Library and city officials are hosting public open houses October 9th and the 23rd to share library decisions made so far and solicit your feedback about future library services. For more information, visit www.bellinghampubliclibrary.org. Once a year, the Bellingham Police Department provides a unique opportunity to a group of citizens to learn a great deal more about the workings, the planning, and the special units in the department. We asked Officer Tara Fleetwood to explain more about this special opportunity.
The Bellingham Police Department presents the Citizen Academy every winter. It starts in January and is a 12-week program. It meets every Tuesday night, and it's really an opportunity for citizens to get an inside look at what we do here at the police department. Each presentation is presented by a specialized officer, and they cover things from the K-9 unit to our Special Investigations unit, SWAT team. We'll have a tour of the jail and an opportunity to go to the 911 dispatch center. Really just a chance for citizens to get an inside look at the police department in a short 12-week period. And if you're interested in attending the Citizen Academy, you can go to the police department website and fill out an application. and it is free. So I encourage anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about how the Bellingham Police Department works to fill out an application. I look forward to meeting you and having you participate in this winter's Citizen Academy.
If you'd like to participate in the upcoming Citizen Academy, you can walk into the department and get information during business hours, or you can find out more online at www.cob.org/police. The massive GP waterfront project recently took a giant leap forward when a final agreement was reached for the cleanup of the Whatcom waterway and the GP treatment lagoon. The $44 million project will remove more than 500,000 cubic yards of material from Bellingham Bay. And listen to this. The agreement also includes 2 miles of new salmon habitat along the shoreline and the removal of dilapidated pilings and piers. On September 20th, citizens and officials gathered near the waterway to celebrate this milestone in the cleanup project. And here's a little of what they had to say.
Governor Gregoire had announced about 2 years ago a Puget Sound initiative, and it's one of her primary environmental goals to restore Puget Sound to good health by 2020. But when she said that, she said, I don't want to give up the economic economic benefits that Puget Sound give us. I want both. I want a healthy Puget Sound ecosystem, and I want a healthy Puget Sound economy. And she told us, myself, the Puget Sound Partnership, you figure out how we're going to get there. And so we are announcing today that we in the port are going to team up and remove another 2,000 pounds of treated lumber, treated pilings from the bay. DNR has done an awful lot of this already, and that's great. And we're just building on their success. So these polyaromatic hydrocarbons, creosote, pentachlorophenol that this wood is treated with, we're going to remove, by removing 2,000 more tons of treated lumber, we're going to take 800 tons of PAHs out of the environment, carcinogenic, toxic to marine life. So we're going to step up this cleanup. We're going to do more. We're going to try to be responsive to the public in a way that is responsible with the public funds that we're spending here, that actually does deliver a bang for the buck. And I know we're not going to satisfy everybody with this, and that's not really the objective. The objective is to do a very good and protective cleanup. That's what we're going to do. I'm very proud of my folks. I'm proud of our partners, and this is a very good day for Bellingham. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for being on board for what is absolutely one of the most pivotal red-letter days in the history of our community. And for that reason, Jim and the Port Commissioners, the City Council, and I are working very hard with other partners to make sure that we have the best resources of a place like Western Washington University. It's outstanding. Huxley College, the first ever environmental sciences curriculum in the entire United States, down on this waterfront, helping us look at Puget Sound, make things work to clean up Puget Sound, and bringing additional research possibilities on board so that we have a true triangle of activity that focuses many other things on Puget Sound and its health. That is an important first step, and we're going to do everything we can to pull it off.
To keep in touch with what's happening on our waterfront, visit the waterfront website at www.newwhatcom.org. Well, Hinckley, Ohio has its buzzards. San Juan Capistrano in California has its swallows, correct? And when fall arrives here in Bellingham, it's time for that annual influx of college students. Yes, at our higher institutions of learning. Western Washington University, Whatcom Community College, and of course, Bellingham Technical College. We welcome all the students and wish them well as they gear up for the academic year. If you or anyone you know has feedback or ideas or questions, we'd like to hear from you. You can reach us through our website or directly via email. Enjoy the autumn air and the colorful scenery. It may not last long. And incidentally, although I'm not a meteorologist, I predict that sometime during this coming winter, it will rain. Call me crazy, but here we go. I'm Doug Waldo. For all of us at the City of Bellingham, thanks for watching.